Okay. Okay. Yeah, new book. Okay. So is it hypocritical?
Hypo or hyper?
Hypercritical. I don't know how we pronounce it.
Hypo is big, small. Hyper is
No,
more fast.
hypercritical.
Yeah, hypo is
Hypocritical. Hypercritical. Whatever. To protest for Palestinians, but put on tefillin every day. Is that hypercritical? Do you think that's a bad Jew, a good Jew? Doesn't make a difference.
Or just critical in general.
Is it hyper? Is it no? Is it
Is it
hypocritical? Sorry, hypocritical.
Yeah, that's right. Hypocritical.
I think so.
You think so?
Okay, like you're contradicting yourself. You contradict.
Is it,
you pray and go pro Palestinians, like you
if
messed
you're
up.
if you're like anti-Israel, pro free Gaza, free Palestine, and then but you put on tefillin every day, is this person
crazy? You're
a hypocrite? I say hypocrite in Hebrew.
Yes.
Not crazy, but just like
no opposite. Like you do.
hypocrite and
Oh, so yeah. Okay, okay, kind of, yeah. Okay.
you contradict
Okay.
yourself, right?
How about is it hypocritical to lie on your taxes but give lots of tzedakah?
Oh, right. And you cheat the government, but you give lots of money.
Oh, the hot water's ready, Sylvia.
Oh, in other words, you cheat. Yeah. No. Cheat the government, but then give. Don't cheat.
Hamim is ready. Huh?
He's going to jail, not her.
So is it hypocritical or is it okay to do? Do you say, oh, don't give tzedakah because you're a liar, or don't put on tefillin because you're anti-Israel, you're pro-Palestine? How about if you eat kosher at home, but when you go at a restaurant, it's don't ask, don't tell? Is that, do you say, oh, is it better not to eat kosher at home? Or is it, hello, we have a new book, okay? And it's a good food and hot water if you want.
No. You are.
So is that hypocritical to keep kosher at home, but not out of home? Or is that okay? Is it worth keeping the kosher at home? Okay, but is it worth keeping kosher at home if you're not doing it out of the home? Okay. But it's not okay to protest with the Palestinians, but the Palestinians.
No, but you can put it's good to put on the villain, yeah. No, I didn't say anything yet about that. I didn't say I'm just explaining what the meaning is to.
How about lighting candles for Shabbos and then driving over to your Shabbos dinner? Is that something you should or you shouldn't do?
I think you should. Hey, to me, if you're doing something, it's better than nothing. This is me. I never criticize. If somebody buys Shabbat candles or drives to me, I'm like, I don't say a word. I just say, don't burn your house down when you're not there. That's what I say.
Okay. So I forgot to put in our. Yeah. Okay. So there are different things to think about.
Well, exactly. So is it better to stay home alone just with your Shabbat candles and do nothing rather than drive? Like
good question. There's a spoon. Oh, here.
Or do you want some potato?
I say spoon, not mazleg, right? I say spoon. Mazleg is a fork, right? Spoon is a cup. Okay, and a cup, right? Okay. So actually, Menachem, when he lived at home a few years ago, well, somewhere in between yeshiva and going to New York, he used to go take walks, let's say to the ocean or wherever, and he used to keep a pair of tefillin with him, and he used to have his camera and maybe take pictures and
not on Shabbat.
No, not on Shabbat. But if he would see, he would meet somebody to put on tefillin, so he would put on tefillin with them. So one time he was on the Pacific Park, was called Palisades Park, and there was I don't know who he is, but some famous guy, I don't know if he's a skateboarder or something, but he's a big guy, and I don't know if he had full tattoos or whatever, but Mahal knew he was Jewish, so he stopped him and put on film with him without a shirt. The guy was just wearing shorts or whatever it was, but he was like, oh, I got to film on this guy, exciting. So is that should he say, oh, don't put on tefillin on him? Look at, he's not even dressed appropriately, or who knows what he does right afterwards. So what do we do? So today's class in our parsha, we're going to learn a little bit more about this. We're going to discuss this through a issue, not issue between Moshe and Aaron, but a difference between Moshe and Aaron. Okay, and what is that? So this week is Parsha Shmini. It is a time that they inaugurated the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert. So right after lots of planning and working and building and everything, the Jews in the desert, they finally built the Mishkan and finally put it together. And now they were super excited. It's going to be the start, like the welcoming inaugural, not party, but so what was going to be, Aaron and his sons were going to start to do the whole service, the avoda and the Mishkan, and everyone's like watching, and it's going to last for 12 days. Very, very exciting. Inauguration. It is an inauguration. Yeah, I did say inauguration. Okay.
Yeah.
But what happens? Tragedy strikes. Now, also just remember, they were very excited about this because this was their atonement for the Chet HaEgel, for the sin of the golden calf. So because they are now, this is what Hashem told them, build this Mishkan and you'll be forgiven. And now they put all their heart and soul into the Mishkan, and tragedy strikes. What happens? So we're going to go to text 1a.
What is that little cake? Is that apple?
Oh, it's like an apple cake made out of oatmeal, oat flour, and almond flour. I want to do almond flour, but I didn't have enough, so I added some oat flour. Like it's called the odds and ends cake. Just throw everything in that.
Like a casserole cake, right?
It's an apple cake, but instead of making it out of regular flour, it's a little bit of almond flour, a little bit of oat flour. Almond.
I understood your language.
Okay, I'm from Chicago, so I say almond. Okay. Anyway, text 1a. Eileen, want to read it?
Aaron's sons Nadav and Avihu each took his pan, put fire in it, and placed incense upon the flame. Thus they offered fire that was foreign to Hashem. He had not commanded them to bring it. And a fire emerged from before God and consumed them, and they died before God.
So here we have this amazing day, a first day, very exciting. Aaron and his sons start to perform the service and their duties, and the two older sons, they die in the process of offering up doing one of these services. And like the fire went into their nostrils because they died of smoke inhalation. They were supposed to have fire. We're not going to discuss that today, but why, how, where, and when, that's a whole long story.
But this wasn't one down one. It wasn't the request.
Okay, so whatever. So the basic thing here is that God, they did it before God asked, before God commanded, or whatever it was, and they so here you go, a whole bunch of people watching, a whole bunch of people excited, and boom, they die. So similar, remind me of like the space shuttle Challenger, right? And everyone's sitting there watching, right? There was this teacher that was going up and all of a sudden the whole thing explodes, and that's it. So like everyone sees the tragedy. Now what? So now what do they do? What do we do now? So first of all, when someone passes away, when someone dies in Judaism, there's all these laws, right? The first thing is that you don't do what you usually do. Okay, so we know about Shiva, right, and stuff like that. But before the person's even buried, from the time the person dies till the person's buried, their family, the people who are mourners, it's called onenut. They're not supposed to say brachot, they're not supposed to daven, like pray, they're not supposed to do all these things. It's a certain grieving moment at least until the plans for the burial are set, or sometimes until the burial.
I didn't know this either. I know that you're in limbo. I know the soul's in limbo. I didn't know what the living people do. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So let's say you don't make the blessing when you eat. You're not. I mean, there are different. Definitely not because it's just so. There's two reasons why. On one hand, like right, you're in such a sad grief place, but the other reason is because the mitzvah now is to bury the dead. Until you're busy with this mitzvah burying the dead, no other mitzvah matters. So in general, when you're busy with one mitzvah, you're not supposed to say, oh, I have to do that mitzvah, I'm going to stop this mitzvah. When you're doing one, let's say your mother who's taking care of children, she doesn't have to pray, she doesn't have to do many mitzvah. Why? Because she's doing this mitzvah right now, she's taking care of her children. That's the mitzvah of the day. So that's the other reason. Okay. So but it's a time of grieving. And even a Kohen, in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, in the times of the Mishkan, if they were an onen, that's what it's called, a person who's in this period of mourning, they cannot bring sacrifices. They can't be partake in the sacrifices. But because it was such an auspicious day, because it was the inauguration, because it was like a Chanukah Tabayit, everything was all exciting. What's going to be? Hashem tells Moshe to tell Moshe and Aaron that they should still partake. This is an exception. Okay, Yotzei min haklal. Okay, so Moshe gives them the message, text 1b. You want to read it now? Okay, so Moshe tells him, this is what, you still should partake. This is what I was commanded. Okay, so even though we usually don't do this, for this specific time, you're going to anyway partake in the sacrifices and the offerings and the service of the inauguration day. Okay.
I wonder how Aaron felt.
That's a whole nother story.
How could he do anything,
Right,
Just be
yes.
frozen.
When they say sons, that's the sons that died, not the sons that are living. The one they say here in English.
Well, now the 2 sons died, so now it's 2 sons left.
Right, which, okay, yes, exactly. But so this sons that they're talking about, is it the living or
No,
the...
now it's the
No. And the sons portion.
No, the living sons.
The living
Because
sons.
they have to
That's
eat.
what I thought. I thought to make sure. It's the living sons.
They have to eat.
Correct,
right?
correct.
They're supposed to eat from it, even though
Right, the
their
living
brother just died. Brothers
That's
just
just
died.
clarification.
Okay.
That's all.
No problem. So Moshe finds out that yes, Aaron and his sons, they partook in all the sacrifices. Also, part of the sacrifices is eating some of them.
Right, eating it, right.
He finds out that they did everything they had to do, except for one. They did not partake in the Rosh Chodesh korban, the Rosh Chodesh sacrifice. That day happened to be Rosh Chodesh. I want to say the first of Nisan, right? So they didn't eat the Rosh Chodesh sacrifice. They burned it.
That's the ones who perished.
No, the ones who stayed alive, the ones who were alive. Aaron and his 2 sons. They did everything. They did everything and ate from it. And
Right.
even though usually you don't, but in this case they did. The only thing they didn't eat from was the Rosh Chodesh.
And those ones that lived.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
got it.
So now Rosh Chodesh, the head of the korban,
Supposed to eat, but they
or
didn't.
onen,
When
what?
you do the sacrifice, they
Means
get forced to eat.
a certain grieving.
They didn't
O-N-E-N,
eat,
yeah.
so
Okay.
like that.
The Rosh Chodesh sacrifice they didn't eat from. They did what they had to do, but they burnt it all instead of eating it. Now Moshe is a little bit like, hey, why don't you listen to me?
When you listen to me, what is Moshe saying?
Moshe just said before, do all the eat offerings in a holy place because it is your portion, right? 1b. Okay,
so Aaron,
do it.
Aaron,
And Aaron and 2 sons did not eat from this. Right. So what's going on over here?
This has nothing to do with the dead son.
No, they're already dead.
Okay, guys, I want to make sure. Okay, I want to make sure.
So text 2a. Let's see. Continue. Carrie, you want to do it?
Moses thoroughly investigated what had happened to the he-goat sin offering and discovered that it had been burned. He was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's surviving sons, saying, "Why did you not eat the sin offering in the sacred place? You should have eaten it in a holy place as I instructed."
Now the sons stayed silent. They didn't answer out of respect. Moshe was their teacher. They weren't going to talk back or answer him. Okay. Aaron defends his sons, defends these actions, and he says Rosh Chodesh is not part of the inaugurational sacrifices and services. It's like separate. It's because it's Rosh Chodesh we have to do that, but it's not part of the regular stuff. Hashem instructions to eat only apply to the ones that have to do with the inauguration. Okay, it's not like a blanket to do. If someone comes that day and says, "Oh, I want to bring this offering for this and this thing," we don't deal with that today. Okay, we just had to do what we had to do, but let's not do anything extra, basically. Okay, 2b. And so here we go in the Hebrew. Do you want to read Yvette? Or should we move on?
Read in English.
Yeah, in English.
Okay.
I meant the Chumash. I have to continue in the Chumash.
Sure. And Aaron spoke to Moses, "But today did my sons offer up their sin and burnt offerings before God? They did not. I did. Would God be pleased with me if I ate a sin offering today, despite these tragic events that befell me?"
Okay, so Aaron's saying, this was not included, and it's a separate sacrifice. So we were right by refraining from it. And now, how was Moshe's response? How did Moshe respond to that?
I don't get it. I don't get what he's trying to say here.
Aaron's saying is that, how could Eileen? Sorry, I want to know who you are.
Okay.
Okay. So he's saying is that the offerings we had to bring up, we brought up. Rosh Chodesh offering is an atonement for sins, and it's only brought on Rosh Chodesh.
Right.
So we didn't, we sacrificed it, but we didn't eat from it. We didn't feel it was right to eat from it on such a day that we are owning.
The casual question is, Rosh Chodesh usually eat it?
Is that what he said? Is they didn't eat from it because?
Yes, they didn't eat from it. He said, how can we eat from it? And, we had these, would God be pleased with me if I ate sin offering today?
Aaron is saying.
Aaron things, yeah. Despite these events. So he feels that, he says, no, it's not something that we should have done. And what does Moshe answer to this?
Well, I want to go one.
It's an easy one. You could,
Okay, here, okay.
okay.
Moses heard this and it pleased him.
Okay, Moshe, it's pleased him. Okay, what does that mean?
He's okay with it.
Okay.
That he was right. Aaron
That
was
he
right.
felt Aaron was right. Okay, so yes. So Rashi asks, why does the Torah need to tell us that Moshe heard it? It says, Vayishma Moshe heard, and it pleased him, right? So wasn't it obvious that Moshe heard and accepted what Aaron's explanation? If you hear it, it kind of means accept, right? Like when someone's talking to you, say, okay, you look at you like, okay, I heard you, I understand, I accept your explanation. So Moshe accepted it. He didn't just hear the argument because it says, and he was pleased, so he accepted the argument. Okay, but let's see what the Rebbe says, text number 3. Explain that. Okay. Did you read yet, Sylvia? Okay, go first.
My honorable stately father-in-law, the Rebbe, would say that there is hearing and there is internalizing. Many passages use the term listening not to say that one heard, but that one internalized and accepted. For example, speak for your servant is listening. We will do and we will listen. There are many other examples. These do not refer to mere listening, but to acceptance.
Now I know what Nancy Pelosi meant when she said we have to accept it to read it.
Hi, Malka. Okay. Okay. So Moshe, he's the leader. Okay. Moshe, he's the leader. He speaks with Hashem directly, right? He is humble enough to accept the fact that another explanation, not his, could be right. And that's what it says. He was pleased. He accepted it. He was saying, hey, it's fine. Even though I speak to Hashem directly, I know everything. I know so much. I learned the Torah on in the heavens, right? Moshe, Aaron tells me something else. I understand. It's okay. Okay. So now let's read how Rashi explains it. For a Batya, you get to read.
And it pleased him. He acknowledged the answer and was not ashamed to say, I did not hear.
Okay, so Moshe wasn't ashamed to admit that he was wrong. He wasn't saying, oh, I'm too big, I'm too great, I'm too whatever to say I made a mistake. He was happy to say, I made a mistake. He was pleased. So he wasn't. So who would Moshe be ashamed of to acknowledge that Aaron knew something more? It says he went around and told everyone. He was very happy to tell everyone, hey, I made a mistake. Aaron has this great idea. Aaron is right. And he wasn't ashamed to do it, even though he is the leader and anything like that. So that's what the Rebbe explains.
Wait, what was he not ashamed? I mean, what was it that he did?
To admit that he was wrong.
What was he wrong about? Eating the sin offering?
That they didn't have to eat the Rosh Chodesh, or they shouldn't have eaten the Rosh Chodesh offering. He told them why you should have, and he chastised them for that. And then Aaron said, no, they shouldn't eat the Rosh Chodesh offering. It's different. It's not part of the regular inauguration. So, and then Moshe said, okay, I hear you. I agree. I accept it. Not just say accept you, but he went and told people, oh, I made a mistake. I told Aaron this, but really Aaron said this, and now it makes sense. Okay.
Well, they say great leader.
Okay. So if you want, it helps to read this thing over here. How can the translation of these words suggest that Moshe was simply unashamed to acknowledge? No. Yeah. How can the translation of these words suggest that Moshe was simply unashamed to acknowledge Aaron is right? And the phrase "he was pleased" implies that Moshe generally liked Aaron's insight. Moshe was not just willing to admit defeat, he was so enthralled, so pleased by what Aaron said that he told everyone.
Wow.
Okay, and that's what we're gonna get to
Wow,
now.
that's even more. That's amazing. Not only you say you're wrong, but like he is totally right. Totally right. Wow.
Okay, Eileen, I'm gonna go back to you. Oh, and somebody else
Sure.
gets
That's the sign of a good leader when he can admit that he was wrong.
right.
Rashi
Well, that's what we're gonna get
says,
to. Yeah.
says that good leader is seeking the truth all the time, you know?
Yeah, sometimes these slides are a little ahead of what we are. I don't know why. But okay, anyway, let's go on.
Rashi says he acknowledged and was not ashamed to say, I did not hear. This means that Moshe lauded Aaron's argument and repeated it continually. Rashi is careful to say he was not ashamed. To say, I didn't hear, he told everyone that. He never heard this remarkable theory. It had never occurred to him.
So here he goes, running around, telling everyone, oh, Aaron explained this to me, and this makes so much sense. He was right. He was really excited about it. So it's not just that he admitted that Aaron was right, but he was enthralled and he liked this explanation, and it didn't like injure his ego in any way. Right. Okay. So Rashi's opinion is that Moshe did not hear this explanation before, but some of the other commentaries actually say something different. Okay, text 5a. Back to Yael.
Okay. והייתה בינה, לא בוש משה לומר, לא שמעתי, אלא שמעתי ושכחתי.
Okay, so others say Hashem did tell him this, but he forgot. And he wasn't ashamed to admit that he wasn't perfect. Right, he didn't say, but like to say, hey, I'm not perfect, or right, he wasn't ashamed to admit that he forgot something. Right, he didn't use any excuse, exactly. So according to some opinions, in a way, Moshe was like negligent in not remembering what Hashem told him. So if a Torah scholar doesn't know something or forgets something, do we need to fire him? No. But he fessed up, but he still at that moment he forgot. 5b, Carrie.
It would have been more dignified for Moses to say, I never heard it, than to say, I heard it and forgot. This is because admitting to not knowing is commendable for Torah scholars. As our sages wrote, when a wise person doesn't know, they say, I don't know.
So he could have saved face. He could have acted like he never knew. And this is the highlight of Moshe's humility.
It's amazing.
So this is amazing how great he was and how humble he was. But why doesn't Rashi bring down this opinion? Why does Rashi just say, he didn't know?
Always glass half full, man. Glass half full. And the thing about it's like, so I was speaking.
So we learned that Moshe ran around telling people all day that he liked Aaron's position. He endorsed it in a way. So we say, if he said, I heard this from Hashem and I endorsed it. Oh, yeah, this is what Hashem told me. That people might think that Moshe has an opinion. I like what Hashem told me. I agree with this, or I don't agree with this possibly. If he says at this time, Aaron's opinion was great. Yeah, Hashem told this to me. This is great, good idea. People might say, and then when do you not agree? So it's not that Hashem told him and he forgot and he reminded and he endorses it. It's just that it's not that he agrees or doesn't agree, but Rashi just wants to keep it simple. Remember, Rashi's speaking to a 5-year-old who's just saying Moshe didn't know, Aaron knew it, and then Moshe realized that Aaron knew something that he didn't know. Okay, so why is he so excited about it and telling everybody that Aaron was right? What is this epiphany that Moshe had? Why was he so wowed by this explanation of Aaron? Okay, so first let's ask, why didn't Moshe think of this himself? In a way, it may be obvious that it's not the offering the service that is done on the regular inauguration, part of the regular inauguration. Shouldn't Moshe realize that, hey, they shouldn't eat from this Rosh Chodesh sacrifice? That's not a brain glitch, it's a different ways of thinking.
Oh, okay.
So Moshe and Aaron had very two different personalities. We see this a lot in different stories in the Tanakh. For Aaron, this was intuitive. This is like totally made sense. Why is that? And what for Moshe wasn't. Okay, so a brutally honest person, a person who's always searching for the truth and wants nothing but the truth above all else, might say, hey, you're ugly, or right, you made a mistake, or you're doing that wrong, right? They don't always sound so nice, but they're saying the truth. Okay.
We're not considering something as
A kind person will sometimes lie for the sake of peace, right? We'll say a white lie. Oh, that dress looks great on you. It's okay. The cake is delicious. Right, exactly. You're saying if the husband was to tell the wife, like if she says, "How do I look at my dress?" and she says, "Oh, that looks you look fat," forget it. But if he says, "Oh, you think I look beautiful," yeah, okay. So people on each end of the spectrum, someone who's totally looking just for the truth, and someone who's always looking for kind and peaceness, they sometimes to make that compromise is difficult. They don't see the other side. Okay, so it's interesting because in the Tehillim, it actually says how how kindness and truth join. Text number 6.
Oh, I get you online. The title is The Kernel of Truth in Everyone and Everything.
Wait, one second. Are you in 6?
Psalms. I'll just read the title.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, no problem.
Sorry. Kindness and truth have met. Righteousness and peace have kissed.
They actually have kissed. How?
Wow.
Okay, so now we're going to analyze Moshe and Aaron. Moshe, he is man of truth, right? He is man of Torah. Torah is emes. Emes is truth. He stood at Sinai. He saw Hashem. He saw the truth and did everything exactly according to what Hashem told him. He had perfect devotion. Okay, 7.
That's
Moshe. Yeah, 7a. Okay, so that's Sylvia, I think. Is that where we're up to?
Moses is the companion of the king. Just as a groom's companion ushers the groom to the bride, so did Moses usher the state of divine oneness into this world so that it could be palpable in every soul, and all would know that God is the source of life. Knowledge does not just mean to know, it means to sense it palpably in the heart, to recognize God, to feel as if we are gazing upon God and seeing him with our physical eyes.
Okay, so when one sees Hashem the way Moshe did, he wants to share this with everyone. Everyone should, I see it. I see the truth in front of me, black and white. How could you not see that? I'm going to bring everyone to my vision of seeing. Don't you see? This is the truth. You know, this is what it is. God is truth. So how can you do anything else? How can you say anything else? How can you think of anything else but, and this is where Moshe was at, and because of his holiness, because of who he was able to bring everyone to that level, no matter what. Aaron was very different. Aaron inspired people to love Hashem. He looked at it, each person as individual. Each person should grow at their own pace. Everyone has their level, meet Hashem on your level, and then go from there. Different strokes for different folks, right? So I'm ready to put on tefillin every day, but I'm not ready to eat kosher. I'm ready to do this, but maybe I'm not ready to do that. So, okay, you're ready to do this? So Aaron said, great, that's such a good thing. Go and do this, right?
He's a good therapist.
So he was a man of what? A man of
peace and kindness.
Okay.
Okay, so let's read 7b. Actually, I think we're back to you. Oh, no, Batya, right? Batya first. Go ahead, Batya. Oh, I didn't push it forward. I'm sorry.
Aaron is the companion of the bride. In this context, the bride is a euphemism for the Jewish people, the collective Jewish soul, to bind them to Hashem so they can become attached.
So Aaron connected each person to Hashem on their own level. Okay, Moshe, you need to see what I see, believe me, and you will become connected to Hashem. If you see what I see, if you, whatever, just get all the way to the top. Aaron looked at more in a more diverse way. You need lead each person to one Hashem. He coached them through their weaknesses until they were able to get stronger and stronger, become closer and closer to Hashem. So Moshe's presence was kind of a call, like everyone had to be on the same standard. Doesn't make a difference where you're coming from. You come with me. Get rid of the excuses. It doesn't make a difference what you're thinking. This is the truth. So let's go. And they could. But he had such a power, such a level that in a way they could. Nothing should hold you back. Just come and be on the same level. All of us be on the same level. Aaron was of kindness, understanding, and gradual progress. Moshe was rooted in absolute truth and unwavering expectations. So let us go to so like basically Moshe's like, look, let's meet this head on, and Aaron's like, let's work through this. Text number 8. It's a long, okay. Both Yiddish, actually.
Yiddish.
Yeah, it's Yiddish. Yeah. Do you want to do the English yet, Al? If I wait for you to do, I give it to Carrie. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do.
There's no vowels either.
Yeah, that's how Yiddish is.
Among the distinctions between truth and kindness, truth is unchanging. It is always the same regardless of time, place, and circumstance. Kindness, however, is about helping others. This requires careful consideration of each recipient's circumstances and disposition. They are not all alike. Moreover, the kindness a giver might want to bestow might not be kindness to the recipient.
Okay, so to give you an example, the difference between, let's say, truth and kindness. If someone's like smoking or drinking alcohol, they could either A, quit cold turkey, the way Moshe, like, hey, just stop it. It's bad for you. So since you know it's bad for you, just stop doing it. Or our own way, which is slowly, gradually stop it. So like, right, today I'm only gonna drink one drink. Tomorrow I'm only gonna drink, next week I'll drink only every other day. The next week, only once in 3 days, and slowly stop the bad habit, let's say. Okay, so that's a more maybe kind approach to your body, and if it really is, but if it works, but as opposed to, okay, just stop it. It's bad for you. Don't do it anymore this minute.
But the last sentence more is like, last sentence is really important.
Sometimes, yeah.
Kindness is, you think it's kind, but the recipient does. That's a very important sentence where you think I'm being kind, like the person's like, hey, that is, it's not.
Right. Like enabling something.
Well, it just, you just don't connect. This is enabling or non-enabling.
Okay.
It's just that they're not connecting. That's
Okay.
how they're saying that it's kind to me, but the receiver says that's not
That's not
kind.
kind.
It's just,
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So Moshe says, plow your way through the obstacles because this is the truth. Okay. Everyone, this is serve Hashem at every turn. Everything, you have to do it all, right or all on this. And Aaron's like tailor make an approach. What's going to work for you? Find what you love to do, enforce that, do a little better, much lighter, and in a way of understanding, people can understand it and work it on their own. So back to the sacrifices, back to the work in the Beis Hamikdash and the Mishkan. Aaron was used to seeing shades of color, shades of people, shades of different things. Not everything's black and white. Moshe saw it all as black and white. So Moshe looked at it, all the sacrifices are all the same. These are all the ones we have to do today. So it doesn't make a difference if it's for Rosh Chodesh or if it's for the inauguration. And Aaron looked at it, there's these type, there's this type. Each one is specific for that thing. And that's why I don't feel it's right to eat from the sacrifice of Rosh Chodesh. It's not, it's a special one. It's not like included in the other ones. Okay, but now we're gonna discuss that in a minute. Okay, text number 9.
Does it say in the Torah? Sorry, does it say in the Torah at all what happened when Aaron's sons died? Like, what was the mood and what happened?
It doesn't say the mood. No.
Does it? I mean,
the Rashi might discuss it a little bit.
They just like carried on what they had to do.
Well, they didn't want to lose the momentum of the day. They didn't want, because of this happening, that the whole day should become like a sour day. They wanted to keep the auspiciousness and the excitement, the holiness, that inspiration of the day on. They didn't want it to just drop.
Don't blame them.
But there is a story. There is for sure one story, even 2 stories I know. One story about one of the Chabad Rebbe, I think the Rebbe Maharash, which is the 4th Chabad Rebbe, that I think it was Lag BaOmer. They used to always make like a big show and excitement and fun, and they had like this whole horse show that everyone was sitting and watching, and the Rebbe's son was one of the horse riders. In the middle of the show, the horse, threw him off. He fell, and he was like in a very, bad state. And everyone's like, let's stop. And the Rebbe said, no, continue. continue to you, whatever, like then obviously he should be taken care of, so should take him to that hospital, whatever it was in those days. But we need to continue the simcha. Sometimes, even when things like not good happen, the Rebbe's approach was continue the simcha. Don't stop. Don't become sad. Don't stop. Like sometimes the simcha is poritz gedder. Sometimes the simcha breaks the barriers and makes the good things happen in the end. So the guy his son was healed, whatever, he recovered. But so sometimes, like, or what it says in Rashi is when Aaron's two sons died, it says, if God forbid someone dies at a wedding, we say move away the bodies, move the bodies out so the bride can still enjoy her wedding. We don't want to stop the wedding. We don't want to stop the celebration. No. Okay. Okay, text number 9. Eileen, you want to read it?
Sure. Moses, the man of truth, was predisposed to thinking that all time frames and circumstances must be treated equally in case of doubt. Therefore, in our case, he saw no difference between the temporary, inaugural, and the permanent regular offerings. The sacred aura the people experienced on the holy day should all be prevalent. Aaron, however, was a man of kindness. He was characterized as a lover of peace and the pursuer of peace, one who loves God's creations and draws them close to the Torah.
Yes, it continues. 1 second. There we go.
He was devoted to all Jews, including Jews whose only redeeming quality was that they were God's creations. He helped each according to their requirements. Accordingly, Aaron was trained to see subtle differences. He saw distinction between the temporary, inaugural, and permanent regular offerings. He can't expect the recipients, those who need our kindness, those who need to be drawn close to God through the sacred offerings, always to maintain the same intense passion for holiness that they enjoyed on that day.
So here we are. We're on this day. Everyone's excited. Everyone's enthusiastic. Everyone's inspired. They're on like a spiritual high. Okay, and it's a certain level of holiness that they otherwise wouldn't be. Now Moshe looked at it. Oh, if they could be on the spiritual high today, they could be on the spiritual high always. So it's all the same. Aaron says, no, today they're on a spiritual high because it's a special day. We're starting the work in the Mishkan. It's so exciting. It's fun. But, in a few days, it will wane, right? And each person's different. So sometimes they're inspired. Sometimes they're not. It's not always going to be the same. Moshe saw it, it's got to be the same. If you see God this much, if you're so connected, you should always be this connected. And Aaron looked at it, obviously it's always different. So Moshe looked at all the sacrifices as the same. They're the same holy. They're equal. And so he felt that Aaron should partake in all of it. And Aaron saw it differently. He saw there's different levels of offerings and different strokes for different, folks. So for this offering, this is not needed for today. This is a different level of holiness. So Moshe conceded to Aaron in this. And why? He saw how truth and kindness can be bridged, how it can come together. There is truth, but you also have to, on the other hand, you have to understand the kindness, understand the differences. Oh, because are they allowed to eat or not? So okay, each sacrifice had different laws, right? This one is eaten, this one's burnt, this one. Then this is holy. So let's say today, right? We burn the piece of challah, the bread. Why? Because it's holy. We can't use it for anything. The Kohen can't use it because he's not pure. So since it can't be given to the Kohen and it can't be eaten, we have to burn it. Yeah. So the same thing here. This sacrifice was not that it was not that it showed kindness or peace, but it showed that this sacrifice was on a different level of holiness. It's not part of the regular ones. So it shouldn't be included in the ones that are acceptable for them to eat, even on this day, because they're onain. So this we're going to keep still as the onain, as a regular onain. The other ones, there's an exception because Hashem said we should keep the inauguration celebration going. Yeah. Yeah. The Kohen, yes. Yeah. But if he was an onain, he wouldn't. Okay. So let's go to,
But he was, oh, he was in that, he's very sensitive.
right,
Yeah, he's in that limbo.
in limbo stage, exactly, exactly. Okay, text number 10, yeah, L. Wait, if you could.
חסד זה אהרון, חסד זה אהרון, ואמת זה משה. אבל חסד באמת נפגשו. תהילים פ"ה י"ד. כמה דתימה וילך ויפגשו בהר האלוקים. שמות ד' כ"ז.
Okay, so Aaron's kindness,
אהרון
shows,
was the
yeah, was the kind one. So where did kindness and truth meet? So if you remember the story, right after the burning bush, remember Moshe sees the burning bush, and Hashem tells him, go to Egypt and save the Jewish people. And he said, oh, I'm going to do this. He said, Aaron will help you. And Moshe starts to go back to the land of Egypt. And he goes to the land of Egypt. Aaron meets him on the way. It says he met him on the mountain of God, the mountain of God. And there, it says Hashem showed him that peace is paramount. Okay, that's in Hashem's perspective, peace, kindness is the most important, more important than truth. But it was hard for Moshe to really understand that at that point, to really reconcile that, because he stood so much for truth. So now, when Aaron brings this up again over here, and he tells him that this offering, isn't appropriate right now, then kind of Moshe finally reconciled this idea that peace and truth, have to work together. And every single object, every single thing, there is some truth to it. So yes, you could be better, you could go more, you could go far, this could become holier, this could become this. But even if someone's not at a certain place at this point, they're still authentic. There's still some truth to what they're doing, right? So if the person, as we said, if the person is connected to Judaism to a certain extent, they're putting on the tefillin, so that's the truth, even though they're going afterwards to the Palestinian protest or whatever it is. Okay, yeah, eating a ham sandwich, whatever it is. So it's not that you're living a lie and being a proud Jew and then right, and then go eating a ham sandwich at McDonald's. No, that moment that you're doing that good thing, there's a truth in there. There's something good about that, and eventually get to the next level as long as you're working towards that. I don't want to jump ahead. Okay, let's just read what it says.
Sorry, I was thinking regarding the differences between the two. He was so exposed to the real thing, Hashem, seeing him. It's like it was like a complete purification each and every time, and it's the only thing he could cling to and believe was anything, nothing else but the total emes. But
100%
was kind of like a filter, like he brought down that completeness to kind of like go between the people and their needs. Like yes,
spot on, Eileen, you got it spot on, exactly.
He was kind of like the filter to make it so that they could accept that.
Aaron was more connected to the human, and Moshe was more connected to the heaven. Right. So 100% right. You got it spot on. Moshe was so close and so connected to God that he didn't see anything else. He couldn't see anything else. Aaron already, right, he had that filter, had that more human connection. Right. People. So if we read what this says on the screen here, Moshe learned from Aaron that while there is one objective truth, each person's sincere effort reflects a genuine part of that truth. Okay. Okay, text number 11. We did Carrie already, so is this too long for you, Yvette?
Yes.
Okay, Sylvia.
You know me. She has peace.
That sounds true.
Yes.
Truth is like a chain that reaches from the highest heights to the lowest lows, from the top to the bottom. It permeates and is the inner dimension of each level along the spectrum. There's no limit to the types of things that can be true. From the highest point in existence to the lowest, each point, whatever it might be, has a point of truth.
Okay, so this was a new revelation for Moshe. Till now, he saw Judaism and connection to God as black and white, but now he saw it from Aaron's view, that if we get gentler, kinder view. It's a ladder. It's a process to get there. And it takes time. So if one is lighting the Shabbat candles, and that's a great mitzvah. So whatever happens afterwards, happens afterwards. That's okay. But they're doing that one special mitzvah. So that's a very good thing. So doesn't mean it's okay for the drive. No, but at least they're doing something. Meet them where they are. So so the person shouldn't be satisfied where they are. They should know that they can still grow and become, do the next mitzvah, do the mitzvah better. Doesn't invalidate though what they do. So every mitzvah they do is authentic, is real. So Moshe, who lived in the world of truth, and you say, Eileen says, lived so close to God and so attached that he didn't see anything else besides for the God and the truth. And Aaron helped him see that, hey, there's people, they're human, each person's at a little bit different level, and we have to help them get, at their pace, get higher and higher, come closer and closer.
Amen. Amen.
So now we see why Moshe was so excited and transformed him that he ran around telling everybody. He couldn't help me say, right. He's like, hey, now I see that each person is still good. Each person has their unique, has their good qualities, has their connection to Hashem. We just have to work on it more and more and more. And it helped him to relate to each person, helped him relate to the people. And that's why Moshe was so excited. Okay. So when we started a class and we said, so, is it hypocritical to, whatever it is, do one mitzvah, but then do some totally, to lie in your taxes, but then to give a lot of tzedakah? Is that okay? Is it not okay? So yeah, obviously it's not okay. But if we look at, right, we don't look at it and say, okay, no, he shouldn't give tzedakah because he's doing this, or she shouldn't be, lighting Shabbos candles because she'll drive afterwards, or she, that for this person shouldn't come to shul because they eat, ham sandwich, whatever it is. So each thing, we look at each thing, and it's not a do all or do nothing, but each person at their level are slowly going to get towards, each mitzvah is a real connection. Each mitzvah is authentic. Each mitzvah connects them to Hashem. And there's room to grow and become better and become more connected and do more mitzvahs. And that is really the main thing. So just because you do the mitzvah, you do this today, tomorrow you'll be better. Tomorrow you'll do 2 mitzvahs. The next day you'll do 3 mitzvahs, whatever it is. So that is, each mitzvah is its own connection with Hashem, okay? That is the lesson. I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.
Once